Hey everyone, I didn't actually expect to make this video this week. It's been in my plans for a long time. I've always wanted to do a studio tour. It's always been like one of the things I wanted to do ever since I started last year and then gave up. But I had a bigger video planned for this week. It was about Vocaloid and it was going to be really cool. However, I realised it's going to take a bit more research than I initially planned. So it's going to take a little bit longer than anticipated, but it will come out, I promise, it will come out. But therefore, I wanted to fill in the gap this week by showing you guys my room and my workspace. I recently changed my office setup and it looks very nice and very clean now. Clean for me anyway. I'm not the best cleaner, I would say. Like there's a wall that doesn't have wallpaper on it, but it's fine, it's fine. Ignore it and it'll be a perfectly good studio. I also did a good clean up of both spaces, like my bedroom, my office, that sort of thing. So I think now is probably the best time, or like a better time than any to do a studio tour, because at least it's presentable. It's not always like this. It is almost never like this. It only looks this way because I've cleaned it in the last 24 hours. I've been collecting toys, figures, and sort of other things for about 5 years now, and I'm pretty happy with where I've gotten with my collection so far. But I do want to quickly preface, this video is not me trying to flex my collection in any way. It's not trying to flex its value or like gloat that I have all this stuff. I would actually say about 75% of my collection is secondhand, bought on clearance, or even just my own stuff. I just collect my own stuff that I make and present it on my shelves and things. But yeah, a lot of it is stuff that's secondhand and pre-loved and brought in like clearance sections and things like that. And I also purposely buy poor quality anime figures and things and just like sort of give them a little bit of a clean so I can get them for cheaper. I'm not actually too concerned about the quality of the figures I have, I just like having them. I'm not super concerned about them being in like mint condition. I don't mind if they've got like a little bit of something missing or like a little bit of hair's broken off. I can always fix that myself. Throughout this video you can see notes on specific parts of my collection, like certain toys, certain figures, and they'll have little information about the character, what they are, and where you can try and source them from. A lot of the second-hand ones would be, I would recommend like Buy, eBay, things like that for. But if they're still in stores, I will sort of direct you to the store that sells them. And I even may go into detail on some specific toys in my collection, or specific figures, or specific things I have. There's lots of things that are sort of not obscure, but I think are really interesting to talk about. So I'm going to add a little bit of a tidbit in about some of those. Especially I have some quite rare, well, I have a rare figure that I really enjoy and I want to tell more people about because I think it's amazing. So you'll see some little tidbits on that. But without further ado, let's start the tour. Starting with the first shelf in my setup, you'll quickly find that I don't really stick to a specific series or type of collectible on a single shelf. I actually tend to go by colour instead. This shelf in particular is rainbow themed, thanks to the Miku figure I got as a Christmas gift in 2022. There's lots of 2000s and 2010s figures and toys on this shelf. I got the Haley Galaxy and a My Little Pony figure at a boot fair, and my Preku figures are all from one big Yahoo Japan auction lot. As well as figures, I also collect a lot of fashion dolls, plushies, keychains, and trinkets of all other kinds. I started collecting dolls in 2019 when I got into the LOL Tweens line of dolls. The Rex McQueen doll I have here is actually one of my favourites of mine. All my Rainbow High dolls I own, I love very much. The detail on those dolls was unmatched for a really long time. The Jollibee plush, on the other hand, is a weird one. If I remember right, it's the 30th anniversary plush, but I have no clue how it ended up in my local charity shop. As for the other things on this shelf, they're mainly gap fillers like small figures. However, I do have a figure of Cure Black from that Precure lot that I love very much. My next shelf is a mix of blue, purple, and green, another one that's a funny mix of genres and toys. I got very caught up in the hype of all the Sanrio Build-A-Bears, and I own quite a few of the new ones actually. My Chocolate Cat and My Melody are the original 2010 Sanrio Build-A-Bears. I got those when I was very young. There's quite a few dolls on this shelf too. I used to display all my Monster High dolls together, my LOLs together, etc. But I actually like matching the colours more nowadays, and I like to keep them apart. This is one of my Luminasta Miku figures. I won this on Yahoo Auction for about £2.50. It's actually one of my cheapest finds on Yahoo Auction, but I love the style of this figure so much. I love how happy her face is. By my window, please ignore all the damn traps. I keep my 3D printer and some of my 3D print supplies. I literally just got this for Christmas, so I'm still trying to figure it out. It's the Ender Creality 3, and my plan is to eventually make my own figures to print on the machine. Once it's leveled properly, that is. I'm not too sure how to level it yet. I've had a lot of trouble. In the drawers to the right, I keep miscellaneous screws, tools, and some excess toy parts just to keep them safe. The shelves below are mainly for miscellaneous figures and toys I haven't found a place for elsewhere. It's a bit more disorganised than my other shelves, but it does still have some fun things in it. I keep my Love Life Blu-ray and Ensemble Stars DVD here, as well as my Licca-chan Heart Heals playset. Since I don't currently own any Licca dolls, my G3 Wave 1 Frankie is behind the counter, and next to them is my other Frankie doll with my Cleo doll. I'm a little bit of a Clanky shipper, if you couldn't tell. I also keep my Sylvanian Families windmill here, as well as some blind bag Sylvanian Families, and they all sit and play with the little toys and figures I have there. The next shelf is pretty stacked too. At the back I have two bears I customised. I did try to initially sell them, but I felt too attached and decided to keep them instead. I never did give them names though. I would be happy to suggestions if you want to comment some suggestions for names down below. I also have quite a few Love Life figures here. I actually picked up the Hanyo figure on a trip to France in about 2017, so it's quite old, this one. I also keep my Tomoya standee here. I want to try and get the rest of Rabbits this year so he isn't alone anymore. The last two shelves are both pink themed, but they are vastly different. The bottom shelf could basically be considered the Draculara shelf at this point. It's mainly pink and black. My two core Draculara dolls are displayed next to my big eater bag sample. This is a design I made and I had a sample made of. It was quite expensive, and while I do love it, I did decide not to pursue this idea any further. So now it just lives on my shelf while I figure out what to do with it. It is a shame that I didn't get to make this bag a reality, but I wasn't ready for that kind of project when I initially made it, and I still don't think I am. So for now it's just going to stay here. This is my Melody plush, is one of my 2010 Build-A-Bears, so excuse the fact she's a little bit dirty. I do plan on trying to remove some of the stains soon though. But across from her is my second Kuromi Build-A-Bear in the original black and pink colourway. The fanciest thing on this shelf though is my Miku Expo 2024 pen light. I really enjoyed Miku Expo, and I was very, very thankful that my cousin was able to queue up for a pen light for me. I do also have all the insert films. I have the Len one in at the moment since Len is my favourite Vocaloid. And speaking of Vocaloid, my Jiraiya Miku also lives on this shelf. I love her so much, and she was another win on Yahoo Japan auctions for a very cheap price. Which makes sense, she's only a prize figure, but I mean her quality is amazing. Like I said, this might as well be a Draculara shelf at this point, so I have Creepover Draculara at the front as well, and she's looking after both the Count Fabulouses that I have. Lastly, I have a Hanamaru figure, which I'm obsessed with. I got her in a Love Live Figures lot off Yahoo Auction, and I think she might be my favourite from the lot. I love her outfit, and she fits perfectly on this shelf. I do wonder how she feels being placed next to one of my creepy Furbies though. The shelf above is largely pastel pink with some brown, green and yellow mixed in for some good measure. This is where my favourite doll, Victoria Whitman from Rainbow High, resides. She is such a beautiful doll. When I saw her stock photos, I knew I needed her, and she's probably even better in person than the stock photos. I also keep some other dolls that fit the theme. This LOL OMG doll might be one of my favourites from the OMG line as well. And same with the tween doll to the left. Again, just the detail, the clothes, it is perfect. I know LOL OMG tweens are kind of like Marmite, you either kind of love them or hate them. I get it because they are definitely not for everyone, but I love them really very much. The rest of the shelf is mainly a mix of pastel trinkets and Sylvanian Families playsets. I especially love the crepe one since it was my first Sylvanian Families playset. It even came with a lot of the pieces, and it came with the original box as well. And finally, my Canon figure. I haven't actually been around in the Bandori sphere lately. I've not actually been into Bandori for quite a few years, but I still really like Canon, and she is my favourite character from the entire series. But that is the first leg of the room and studio tour completed. We're going to move into the studio now. My studio is a separate room. It's not big, but it's also not tiny. I've recently figured out the best configuration for the room, so that is something worth celebrating. It feels so much bigger now than it did before. You'll find a lot of my favourite figures and toys are actually in this room. I spend a lot of time in here working, so I want to be surrounded by things that I love and feel inspired by. The first shelf when you enter is largely used to store craft supplies and other hobby stuff, as well as my order packing materials from my Etsy store. I have lots of cute stickers for packaging up my more fragile items. The rack to the left is made from grid panels. I'm thinking about taking it down though, but for now it holds some of my B-grade prints and some jailbird storyboards. I eventually want to use this whole area as a place for organising orders for my shop, like a packing station of sorts. I have a Skydance pegboard somewhere and I want to put that up and put some packing materials on that so it becomes like a fully fledged packing station with my scales and everything that I need to pack orders with will always be here. To the furthest left, I keep this little alien plushie and my rainbow LED light. I also keep my Stolfo figure here. I think they might be my worst condition figure. The plasticizer in some of their parts are starting to decay, meaning that it's leaving a pretty sticky surface, which is kind of gross. At least his hair and face still look good. I think it's just the gold pieces that have the problem, really. rest of the shelves are nothing particularly interesting. It's largely baskets and boxes or craft supplies, molds, pens, paints, all of my stuff that I don't get around to using very often. I do keep my art books here though. My collection is small, but I like it that way since I don't really like having tons and tons of books in my collection. On top of the shelf, I keep my badge press, which I actually bought quite recently. I want to make more button badges since my old button press broke quite a few years ago now, but I got a smaller one this time so I can make smaller, cuter buttons. This is my favourite part of my entire space. It's the PC setup. There is so much here, so I have to sort of break it down to sections. The leftmost corner has my label printer that I use for running my shop, as well as a lot of wires, chargers and things, all hidden by the Sylveon plush in a basket. Above that on the upper shelf I keep any notebooks, sketchbooks and journals that I'm actively writing in. This includes my current sketchbook, my Hobonichi journal and my Pokemon card album. Pokemon cards are my newest collection. I've only been collecting for a few months so far and I've only picked up a couple of cards, like full arts. I do really love trainer cards, which tend to be quite expensive. However, there are also a lot of uncommons and commons I really want to collect as well. My two goals are to collect the clay Pokemon cards and the crochet Pokemon cards. I love any sort of Pokemon card that has a unique style or a unique approach to the art, like the artwork on the card. Completing a Baneri and Lopunny master set would also be nice to do as well. Maybe even a Porygon, Porygon 2 and Porygon Z master set. Those are all my favourite Pokemon. Baneri, Lopunny, and all the Porygon line, all my favourites. Jolteon as well, I like Jolteon too. I'd love to learn how to play the game eventually as well, so I keep all my energies in this binder just in case as well. But moving back to the tour, I also keep a lot of commonly used pens and stationery in these holders. On top of this drawer is one of my all-time favourite Grail figures. This is Yukino. Yukino is a Flash animation character made by Mirino Aruzi. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And this figure was made all the way back in 2006. So this is a really old figure. This figure is nearly 20 years old. I somehow managed to get this for only £9 on Mercari. I guess because maybe her demand isn't quite as high as some other figures, but she's still pretty rare. But I am now one of 30 people on my figure collection who own this figure. She came in amazing condition and she came with her original box as well. The front of my main monitor is packed with a bunch of smaller figures, including these Amagi Brother Nendroids I got as a gift. They are basically the centerpiece of this entire setup, accompanied by my two iDog speakers as well as some other small figures. The acrylic standees are actually my own designs, and I still have a few available on my Etsy if you're interested in grabbing them. I have them as stickers, keychains and standees. I also have another Grail figure on this desk, which is my Lucky Star Hiragi Miku figure. I bought her during the Cute Core anime figure trend on TikTok when she jumped up in price on Yahoo Auction. I still won her for what was relatively a cheap price at the time, which was about £35. I put her next to a Rainbow High doll I also love. I'm quite the fan of aliens and sort of space themed characters, and her jacket referencing Novi Stars is so cool. I'd love to collect some Novi Stars this year. I won't dwell on the peripherals that I have, but my keyboard is a Shure-Key mechanical keyboard and my printer is a HP Smart Tank 455. As for my mouse, it's just a basic wireless Logitech mouse and with a very cute mouse pad from Peaches and Bees on Etsy. For my artwork, I use an XP Pen Artist 22 Pro, which has served me well for nearly 5 years now. The microphone I use is a Fifine microphone on this small mount I got from Amazon, and I display this Twin Angel figure on there just for a bit of decoration. And my pen holder is a little pudding and I'm obsessed with it and I love it, it's so cute. The last two shelves aren't particularly interesting, they mainly just hold some stock and some other sort of craft supplies like my Decadent charms. But my Caesar cutter is over here and I love the Caesar Juliet so much, it cuts so nicely. I used to have a Cricut, but I struggled so much with it. It just wouldn't cut right. The print and cut settings were awful. Every time we updated it, it had to recalibrate all over again. I hated it so much. So I eventually sold it and I saved up for the Juliet instead. Above it, I keep another small collection of figures and toys. There's a few standees, a few little minifigures, and I also keep all the papers I use for making my stickers up here. I've got my sticker paper, my vinyl, it's all up on that little grid shelf. My other Love Life figures live on top of the shelf with some of my more important tech stuff like my card reader, my Bluetooth speaker and my power bank, which I all take to events. And we are on the home stretch now, there's only a little bit more to go. I know this is a really long video and I didn't expect it to be this long when I started making it, but I didn't realise how much stuff I actually had. I brought these stackable bins from B&Q to hold all my merchandise. They're pretty cheap, but they only really tend to stock about 4 or 5 at a time in store, so getting a lot of them is a bit of a challenge. But they are the perfect size for my smaller items. When my MP3 card holders arrive though, I do need to look at getting some bigger bins, because they are quite large. I haven't actually seen the proper size of them yet, and I also keep a few more figures on this shelf. It's almost kind of like card capture Sakura is protecting all my stock. And that was my studio and room tour. Like I said at the start, I am very, very happy with where I've been able to get with my setups in both my room and my studio. And I have lots of collecting goals for 2025 that I want to try and hit, and I might make a video about those. I don't know if that's something people will be interested in. But I have like a big list of Grail figures that I want to try and knock out this year by like bidding on auctions and stuff. I'd love to make a video on that, but whether people find it interesting, I do not know. I know I don't have the fanciest collection out there. It's not super expensive. It's not got any like super big like resin figures in it or anything. I love resin figures, can't afford them. Too expensive for me. And some of my spaces are a little bit rough around the edges, but they are mine at the end of the day and I do love them. Throughout 2025, I hope to really finish up my office space. I have like a Skydisc pegboard I want to put up that's been sat for like 3 weeks. I don't know where I'm going to put it yet, but it's got like all the hooks and stuff. I don't know what's going to go on it. Maybe some more trinkets, maybe. But I am really excited to sort of finish up this office space, make it mine, finish sorting out all the storage because the storage isn't quite finished yet. Finally get something on that bit of empty wall, maybe some posters, maybe posters, maybe prints. Maybe, I don't know. But if you did like this video and you would like to see more content surrounding 2000s nostalgia, media, art and other things, I made a Lost Media video last week before last actually. I posted on a 2-week schedule, so week before last, about Magical Girl Ryon-chan, a lost anime media franchise about Sanrio. That is a good video, maybe you should go and watch that. And if you want to go the extra mile, maybe consider subscribing and commenting some feedback below. I am still very new to YouTube, so please, any feedback, always appreciated, always love it. And of course, subscribing helps me realise that you guys like this content and I can keep on making it for you guys. I really want to stick to this 2 weeks schedule this year. That is my main goal. I want to make YouTube my thing. But I also have a Twitch where I live stream periodically from time to time. You guys can come and say hi, and I draw stuff and play games. But anyway, I'm getting really off track. That is all for me from this time. I hope to see you next time with my big Vocaloid video project that I'm working on. I really hope I get to show you guys that soon. But with that, I'm going to love you guys and leave you. Goodbye.